Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. I want to start off with a couple things. Let me first show you the knife that we're going to talk about. This is, of course, the Spyderco Tenacious. Very popular, very much loved. Tons of Spyderco fans out there just think this is a phenomenal knife, and I would say it's fine. Although, let me say this, I can honestly say that I have never told anyone to go out and buy one. There are just too many other things that I think are better options out there. Now, before I get into a full discussion of top 5 reasons I'm over the Spyderco Tenacious, let me do 2 quick things. Number 1, let you know about a deal alert. I've been doing some shopping around. I was actually looking for a line steel Kerr, and I have found one, but while I was kind of shopping around, looking on a bunch of different retailers, I noticed Manix 2, the G10, and the lightweight are priced really, really well right now. I don't know why, but for sure I know on White Mountain Knives, I saw the Manix 2 lightweight selling for like in the 80s, maybe 83 or 80 something dollars, which is, you know, 80 bucks for just a phenomenal knife. And then the full G10, which by the way, I prefer by a large margin. I really, if anyone asked me, I would say, yeah, I definitely, in terms of the feel in hand and the overall, just the feel of it. The full G10 stainless steel linered Manix 2 is the one that I prefer by a pretty significant margin. But again, that one I is going for under $100. I think like $98 or $99, which is great. What a great deal for an awesome knife. So that's my first little sort of deal alert, or you know, pre-video intro stuff. The other thing I want to ask you guys about is it's coming up to be time to do another knife news video, and what I'd like to do is, obviously I've got a few sources and I've already got a list of stories that I want to deal with in that video, but what I want to hear from you guys is if you know of anything going on in the industry that you're really interested in or would really like to kind of have featured in a video and have some discussion about, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. All right, so there you go, guys. Those are a couple quick things I wanted to mention before getting into the 5 reasons that I'm kind of over the Spyderco Tenacious. Now, let me say that I'm a huge Spyderco fan. I just finished telling you about a great deal on the Spyderco Manix 2, which is one of my favorites. This is the XL, but which is not, this one in fact seems to have gone up a little bit in price. But anyway, that's besides the point. Let's get into the stuff that I want to share with you about the Tenacious, okay? Number one reason I'm over the Spyderco Tenacious is ergonomics, okay? This knife, I feel like it's a full-size knife, or it wants to be a full-size folder, but I don't get a lot of hand real estate, which is not cool. I have no finger choil or option to kind of choke up a little bit, which I really like, even though I know that's a bit of my own personal preference. The whole area here around the liner and where you disengage the liner is less than ideal. It can become quite a hot spot, and I have had it really, you know, put some good red marks on my index finger where this is really just quite thin and quite aggressive. And so the ergonomics on this are just, in my mind, not up to par, especially number 1 for a Spyderco. Okay, Spyderco is known to have just phenomenally ergonomic knives. Number 2, it's just not up to par for, you know, what's out there right now. When I compare it to other options that are, you know, similar size, similar weight, similar price, I just feel like it gets beat a lot, okay? So, ergonomics, yeah, not the best. Number 2, now this maybe could have been number 1. This is one of my major complaints about this. Cost, okay? When I hear a knife that's got, you know, stainless steel liner lock, G10 scales, 8CR13 MOV, made in China, a price springs to mind when I hear those specs, okay? And that price is about 30 bucks. Then you look online and you start seeing Spyderco Tenacious for around $45. And to me, that's too much. It's too much for what it is, okay? Now, I know a lot of that price is dependent on the fact that it's a Spyderco, all right? And I understand that lots of people who get into knives, they love Spyderco, they hear people, reviewers like me, talking about Spyderco knives and how awesome they are, and they go, you know, I'd really want to buy a Spyderco, but boy, they're expensive. But then there's this one for 45 bucks, so okay, that'll at least get me kind of in the door. All right, I understand that. However, I think at $45, there are a lot of knives that I would recommend above a Tenacious. And in fact, there are a lot of knives at $30 that I would recommend above a Tenacious, okay? There are Kershaws, there are Ontarios, there are CRKTs, there are even bird knives, right? Like the Raven or the Caracara, that I would probably say, yeah, go with that over the Tenacious. Now, cold steel, if you go back to the OS 8 ones, you got a few there, but not that many. And the Pro Light, let me say this, I've lost my Pro Light, so if you're waiting for that review, I'm sorry, it's gonna be a while before I find it. I've looked high and low. We did move, so that it's easy to lose something when you're moving, and so yeah, a little bit frustrated about that. Anyway, back to my main point here in the video. So number one is ergonomics. I just don't find that to be the most comfortable knife, especially when I compare it to other knives that I have in my collection. Number two is cost. I feel like for what this is, it should be running around 30 bucks and it's 45, okay? So that's number two. Number three, the competition is getting better. You know, when you start looking at competitive options, you know, the Apostle many years ago made the video about the Rat 1 and he called it the Tenacious Killer. And I totally agree with him on that assessment. This knife is more comfortable, it's more cost effective. The blade shape, I think, is more useful. And it's bigger, more cutting edge. So for all those reasons, but there's also the Utilitac, there are a number of other knives, but the competition is really at that $30 price point. There's a very, very stiff competition. Even the CRKT Amicus, and I do plan to do an actual full comparison video between these two, but the Amicus is a great knife, very, very tough, very durable. You probably can see on that blade that I've got a fair bit of use on this. And yeah, I feel like, you know, for $10 less, even a little more than $10 less, this is a superior knife to the Tenacious, okay? Now let's pull in a knife that does cost closer to that $45 price point. All right, this is the Real Steel H6. This happens to be a special edition in black. Anyway, again, this is a phenomenal knife. The ergos are great. Now there are some similar aspects here, okay? And by the way, I probably will do a full comparison video on these as well, but you've got G10 with stainless steel liners and a liner lock, okay? Here you've got G10 stainless steel liners, liner lock, both are milled out scales, but that's really where it ends. The G10 on this is 3D machined, which makes it amazingly comfortable in hand. It's got that finger trail so I can choke up. It's got really good jimping. The blade shape is phenomenal. You got a little more belly and a hollow grind, which I really like. Then you have better steel. 14C28N is pretty vastly superior to HCR 13 MOV. And so there's a lot of things, you know, so this is what I want to see for $45, okay? So competition is number three. Number four, okay, number four. I've had about 4 Tenaciouses, 3, I've had a blue one, a green one, and an all black one like this. This one is not mine, it's a friend's, but I've noticed in the older ones compared to the newer ones, the quality is not quite as high on the newer ones as it was on the older ones. So I feel like maybe there's been a little bit of slippage there that should be kind of brought back up in terms of just fit and finish and overall smoothness and feel in hand. And you know, you want that feeling. When you buy a Spyderco, I associate Spyderco with just really good quality control and, you know, this feeling of quality in hand. And I think the Tenacious has lost that a little bit. Lastly, lack of improvement over time. Okay, there are a number of things about this knife, and I mentioned some of them: ergonomics, lanyard hole, pocket clip, even blade steel, that could be improved. And Spyderco has this thing about continuous quality improvement, which is an awesome program. I love that philosophy, that way of looking at things, but I wish it were applied to this Tenacious, okay? With just some minor tweaks, I think this could be every bit as good and even better than a lot of the other options that are out there. And so, you know, even doing some sprint runs in different steels, and I will say this, as I have, you know, I've had a number of videos where I asked people you know, hey, what's a knife you'd like to see in a higher end steel or whatever, a lot of people brought up the Spyderco Tenacious. Okay, so there you go, guys. Those are the reasons that I'm just not quite as sold on the Spyderco Tenacious as I once was. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'd love to hear your comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I know a lot of you are real Spyderco fans, and I am as well. So I know there may be some guys out there who are like, how could you say anything bad about the Tenacious? So I look forward to a great discussion in the comments below. Go ahead and subscribe if you want more content like this, and certainly comment below with some of your thoughts about what we've been talking about. We'll talk to you later.